A quarter of a century ago, in 1999, American journalist Rhett Butler founded the environmental news website Mongabay to shine a spotlight on the threatened biodiversity of the rainforest, whose fragile beauty he discovered as a boy.
So as a child, I always had this great interest in reptiles and amphibians. And I had the great fortune of having a mother who's a travel agent and a father who traveled a lot for business. And so my family prioritized travel. I had this opportunity when I was 12 to visit the Amazon. I had this incredible experience, but when I came home, I learned that there was an oil spill that had happened on the river that I had just visited. And so that led me to go from someone who just appreciated interesting frogs to really becoming aware of what was happening in the world around me.
During his teenage years, another trip to the heart of a tropical forest in Southeast Asia marked him forever and fueled his vocation to tell stories that would give visibility to the degradation of nature.
The thing that spurred me to action was I had an opportunity to go to Borneo when I was in high school. Had another incredible experience. I came back, and a few months later, I learned that the forest was pulped to make paper. And so when that forest was destroyed, I decided I wanted to try to raise awareness of what was happening to tropical forests.
And this is how Mongabay was born, a website named by Butler in homage to an island near Madagascar that he visited during his university years. In the beginning, it was just the personal project of a single editor who published the articles he wrote at night, while during the day he worked at a Silicon Valley company. But 4 years after its creation, the success of this initiative in terms of readership allowed Butler to devote himself fully to Mongabay and lead the expansion of what is now a powerful international platform for environmental journalism.
The way that we do this coverage is by having a network of journalists on nature's front lines. So we have 6 bureaus that are reporting in 6 languages all around the world. Again, typically focused in the tropics. And then we have a network of about 1,000 contributing journalists in about 80 countries. The value of this approach is it allows us to have very localized coverage. So we can develop those narratives around people in the field, really first-person narratives, the human interest stories that are relevant for the local reporting, and then have them bubble up into these global stories that span countries.
For this exceptional track record in communicating on nature conservation and biodiversity, especially in the countries of the Global South, Mongabay has been awarded the BBVA Foundation's Biophilia Prize in its 5th edition. For its founder, the key to the success of this project has been its dedication to alerting with its network of local reporters about the degradation of nature in the most biodiverse areas of the planet, thus ensuring that its journalistic work has a real impact on the protection of the environment.
Our approach is really focused on the tropics, so specifically places that we call impact geographies, where we feel like journalism can actually inform decision-making when it comes to natural resources and protecting nature. We are trying to have impact in the world.
With this strategy, Mongabay's reporting has succeeded in stopping multiple projects that threaten biodiversity in the countries where its reporters work, thanks to environmental journalism based on the best scientific sources.
One of the most critical ingredients of successful environmental journalism is a strong basis in fact. So that means bringing in the science and conveying it in a way that makes it accessible for target audience to understand. Because if the science remains in the hands of only a few people, it can't inspire action. It doesn't help people understand what's happening in the world.
At the same time, with apocalyptic narratives that abound in environmental communication, Mongabay is committed to solutions journalism to show that it's possible to make progress in the face of the degradation of nature.
The extent of environmental problems today can certainly be very depressing. We're hearing about the extinction crisis, the impact of climate change, worsening air pollution, worsening water pollution, plastics. I mean, it feels like a never-ending onslaught of bad news. And so there is this risk of environmental journalism leading people down a path where they feel like they're hopeless and cannot do anything. At Mongabay, we're trying to address that issue by intentionally focusing more on solutions coverage. And I believe this is really critical because it's very easy for people to get burned out on the bad news and lose any sense of hope.
In short, despite the undeniable scientific evidence of environmental degradation on a planetary scale, Butler is convinced that there are grounds for optimism and that environmental journalism can make a fundamental contribution to overcoming this great global challenge.
We talk about tipping points, ecological tipping points. They tend to be negative. The Amazon collapsing, glaciers and sea ice melting. But there are also positive tipping points. So technological advances that can transform how we move around or how we produce electricity. It is important to cover those things in addition to covering the negative. So there are things being done in the world that are very hopeful and inspirational and show that change can happen and it can happen quickly and have real impact in the world. So those are all things that give me hope despite all the challenges we face.